Welcome back to episode 146 of the Guardian Project podcast. I'm your host, Andy, and recently I was talking about playing Hostile more in my Aristocrat decks. I think it'll be a real house in those decks.
A full one at that.
A real residential unit.
Knock them down. And I'm your other host, Mike, and I'm opening a business in this new plane we're headed to that strictly sells bedding. I'm calling it Sheets of New Capenna.
Please listen carefully.
This is the podcast where we talk about all things Magic the Gathering.
But mostly Commander.
So this past weekend, there was actually a very large CEDH tournament hosted by Monarch Media. I don't know if you had much time to watch it online. I got to see some of it. Most of it was being felt from some severe FOMO from afar. Looked really, really cool. So it was the Marchesa 2022 event, which happened this past weekend. It was the largest CEDH tournament, and you could view it over at twitch.tv/Monarch Media. There were 100 competitors, and the top 4 decks actually that took down that tournament were a mono red Magda deck, Magda Brazen Outlaw, a Thrasios and Tymna deck, a mono white Heliod God of the Sun, Sun Crowned, and finally a Thrasios and Vial Smasher deck. So some really cool stuff over there. I don't think I've ever seen, honestly, Magda Brazen Outlaw really before. I don't even think we really talked about that even when we did our set reviews. Wasn't a commander I've even seen or played against.
No, it was seen in standard a lot with Bard class and stuff, so you can only cast it for one generic. But other than that, yeah, you're right.
I haven't seen very much discussion about this commander, like really much at all. I mean, there's been some whispers on Twitter of these,
the dwarf commander
of these decks. Right. Everybody's talking about Krark and Sakashima, coin flip decks, and people still complain about Thassa's Oracle, and so those are the things that I think you see most prevalent, or at least in my cultivated feed. I see very often, but I don't think I've seen this. But this is a crazy dwarf berserker that it's a 2/1 that says other dwarves get +1/+0. Whenever a dwarf you control becomes tapped, you create a treasure. You can sack 5 treasures to search your library for an artifact or a dragon card, put it onto the battlefield, and then shuffle your library. I guess I didn't even think about, how this would have been competitive, at all. But turns out it's really bananas when you're playing Clock of Omens, which allows you to tap 2 artifacts to untap an artifact. And then you've got dwarves that are also artifacts in Metallic Mimic, and you've got what's the other one?
The Changeling. That's 1 mana.
Yeah, it's Adaptive Automaton.
Yeah,
Adaptive Automaton. Right. So anyway, all you're doing is you're looking to just make a ton of artifacts. You tap artifacts to untap the dwarfs that are still artifacts, and you just keep tapping things back and forth to make essentially infinite treasures, and then you win at instant speed over people's stacks. Just when someone tries to win, you just try to win by searching for things like Slowbad Goblin Tinkerer, Bogarden Hellkite, and you're doing a lot of loops with Elixir of Immortality.
Oh yeah, sure.
Which is crazy because it shuffles everything back into your library. You can Liquid Metal Torques in here, Lion's Eye Diamond. It's a lot. There's a primer out there. We'll have links to all the top 16 decks that were in this event. But it looked like a lot of fun. From what I can find online, it looks like there's going to be a full event report that'll come out likely the day this episode goes live. So I think it's supposed to come out on Wednesday, the 29th or the 3rd. No, I think the 30th.
Okay.
I'm hoping to see more there, but you should probably be able to watch, I assume at this point, replays on the Twitch channel. Hopefully. But that was really cool seeing a big Magic event streamed with coverage.
Yeah.
Because we haven't gotten that.
That's a long time.
In a long time.
Years.
Like, and I love seeing CDH. It's their decks are so many things that I don't see very often and regularly. So wild stuff. So if you're looking to go, what's the word I'm looking? Not ingest, eat, absorb more Magic content. Yes. All the words work, I guess.
They do. They all work.
ingest the magic, head over to twitch.tv/monarchmedia and you can check that out.
I love seeing Mono Red take it. Mono Red's always like my go-to. If someone's like, hey, can you throw together a new CEDH deck for a stream or something? I'm like, you're not going to like it. It's going to be Mono Red. And I'm going to try to just like put a couple pieces out there to prevent people from doing stuff and try to win a couple turns later.
I held a counter spell and I was like, nah, Mike's this one time isn't going to have a blood moon. There was a blood moon.
Always at the blood moon.
And I did nothing for quite a while.
That's right.
Got back in late in the game. But yeah, no, very good. So Mono Red, very cool. And also Magda Brazen Outlaw.
Yeah.
So cool to see.
It's awesome. Now, we also got a first look at Commander Legends Battle for Baldur's Gate. So we know what kind of products that we're going to get with draft boosters, set boosters. There's even going to be a pre-release for this, collector's boosters, all the normal kind of stuff there. So we're also going to be getting 4 different commander decks coming with Commander Legends Battle for Baldur's Gate. Previews are going to begin May 16th. I know we have all of New Capenna to talk about before those previews even start. You might wonder why we're talking about this now, because in part of those first previews, we did see a printing of Minx and Boo, Timeless Heroes, which happens to have some really cool text on the bottom that says, this Planeswalker can be your commander. So we have a return of Planeswalkers as commanders.
I'm so excited.
It's going to be so much fun.
I'm so excited. I have talked about this before. I like it. I know that it almost is like pseudo life gain because it's like if they attack the Planeswalkers out of you, it's like you save some life. But I just like seeing it. We don't have very many Planeswalkers that can be your commanders now.
Right.
So I'm excited for this new variety. And before we get into our episode this week, we also have a new patron, Colt Butrick. Thank you so much for joining the project. We just turned our last one in.
Yep.
They're going to be assigning, but we got to pick partners.
Oh,
and you're our partner.
And we might even be friends forever. Special kind of partnership
with Bjorna. That's one of the characters that has friends forever, because I don't know any of the in-game names I don't feel except for Bjorna, because that was my Twitter name for a bit there.
That's right. Yeah.
It seemed really fun.
It should be.
It's just 11. No, is it 11?
I don't know, because I only know the Stranger Things names.
I think most people just know the Stranger names.
Most likely.
Stranger Things names. But if you want to support us, you can head to patreon.com/Guardian Project Pod and donate for any dollar amount.
And if you're looking for another way to support the podcast, whatever platform you're enjoying the podcast on now, if you could subscribe, rate, review, and leave comments, we would be most appreciative.
Yeah, you can find us online on YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter by searching Guardian Project Podcast. You can email us at guardianprojectpod@gmail.com. Mike, what is on the agenda this week?
Well, we referenced just about 15 seconds ago Minsk and Boo being a new Planeswalker as commander, and we talked about how there isn't a whole lot of Planeswalkers you can have as commanders, but we're going to rank them, and we're going to talk about all of the current Planeswalkers you can have as commanders before Baldur's Gate comes out.
Let's go Spark. I like that I made spark a verb.
Yeah.
Like that's so fetch. That's so spark.
I guess Sparks Ignite, I guess.
Sparks Ignite. Isn't that a Katy Perry song? Fireworks.
You'd like a fire. I guess it is. Katy Perry is a Planeswalker.
Katy Perry's a Planeswalker.
That's right. Where did she come from?
Who knows? So with the announcement that we're getting a new Planeswalker that can be your commander, we wanted to talk about the 13 Planeswalkers that can currently be your commander. And we want to talk about them from the aspect of their color identity, how fun they are to play with and against, how unique the things that they can do are, and how strong the strategy is associated with that Planeswalker and maybe propelling your game forward, or the specific strategy or your specific game plan, because some of them seem pretty narrow, some aren't as narrow, and we want to rank them because ranking things are fun, and this is obviously personal preference. So if you disagree, we would love to hear why, and what your list is on Twitter.
Yeah, because some of these cards were printed a long time ago. So maybe there's some synergies that we don't know about that have been printed, and maybe our evaluation is wrong. So we definitely want to hear from you on those.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start with our list, but we are not going to be including the Magic Origins legendary creatures that flip into planeswalkers. And we're also not going to include Grist the Hunger Tide because it doesn't specifically say on it, this planeswalker can be your commander.
Okay. 13 out of 13.
13 out of 13. Nahiri, the Lithomancer. So this is a planeswalker that is in mono white, and it came out as part of the first set of planeswalkers in that could be your commander in Commander 2014.
Yeah.
So Nahiri is a 5-mana planeswalker, 3 white with 3 loyalty, with 3 abilities. You can +2 to get a 1/1 white core soldier, and then you can attach equipment you control to it for free. So that's cool. -2, you can put an equipment from your hand onto the battlefield. And then -10, you can create an equipment artifact token named Stoneforged Blade and put it onto the battlefield. It has indestructible, and the equipped creature gets +5/+5 and double strike and equip for 0. But it can be your commander.
Yeah.
So I like all the things that it does. It is a commander that I actually played. I think this is the commander deck from this set that I bought when we were looking at new commander decks that we could build when you and I were first getting into commander. This one, I just liked the equipment theme.
Right.
I've learned since I don't like the equipment theme.
Right.
So I think that's part of the reason why I didn't like playing it, but I like seeing it show up in a pod because it's one that you never see.
It's true. It's true.
I also think that on the episode where we talked about things that we wanted to see more and less, I had specifically said I want to see less Boros equipment things.
Sure. And
this kind of solidly fits into any Boros equipment deck. You can play this Planeswalker. If you can make that Stoneforged Blade, that's actually very cool. +5/+5 double strike. You love to see it with equip 0. It makes a creature that protects itself. So that's also very cool. But I don't think that this commander really does a whole lot on its own other than make an equipment or maybe cheat one out for free.
Right.
So I guess if you have a very expensive equipment in your hand, but it's usually not the cost of the equipment. It's usually the equipment cost that I always wish was the free thing.
Oh,
like
the
playing
cost
it
to
out.
equip.
Yeah, the cost to equip. It's usually like, I don't mind putting this thing out onto the battlefield,
Right.
but it's when the equip cost that is the same amount. It's like, well, I want to play cards from my hand and not do something that's on the battlefield.
Right.
I don't know. That's how I just view it. So I don't know. What do you think about this Nahiri?
Yeah, I mean, I like the fact that, again, it protects itself with its +2. But as you know, the point that you just brought up, cheating out an equipment, I was trying to think of like what the really high end mana cost equipment is, and I just turned to modern and I say Batterskull, but Batterskull costs the same amount of mana as Nahiri, so you might as well just cast Batterskull instead of cheating it out with Nahiri, because then you have a Nahiri with only 1 loyalty left at the end of it, so it doesn't really make sense to do that. So I just think, you know, the equipment theme on a 5-mana commander, it might just be a little bit too slow for equipment themed decks, because you're trying to, you have to eliminate someone by turn 6 maybe, because you have 2 more people that you have to eliminate after that. And if you want to end your game by like turn 10 or something, you have to start knocking people out. But maybe there's, I like that you can bring stuff back from the graveyard with the -2 too. So if someone does remove like Blackblade Reforged because it's getting too late into the game and it's just too powerful,
that's fair.
You can bring it back. So maybe it has an upside there with the recursion. I think the -10 is quite a bit. I mean, you do get a pretty good equipment. I like the fact that it's not legendary, so you can have multiple of it. If you have token doublers with like Anointed Procession or something like that, then you can get double of those equipments, and hopefully you can get something +10/+10 and double strike, and maybe then
it takes 5 turns to ultimate. I like what it does as a commander. I like seeing it. It is a commander though that I think people just aren't going to attack, which is very cool. It's like, I'm not going to touch this. This does not, I don't think this is going to derail my game plan. I'm going to let you get your core soldiers, get your equipments back, maybe get your Stoneforged Blade. I don't even know if I'm afraid of a 5/5 double strike equipment.
Sure.
Which I think says something, that I'm not afraid that I can throw a dork in front of it. It's once it gets trampled, I'm afraid.
Well, now let me phrase this differently. If this was in your 99 and you gave a commander +5/+5 and double strike, it would be different. So if there's any way to turn Nahiri into a creature in mono white, which I don't believe there is, I can only think of Sarkhan and red.
You can play red-white equipment with Arden Kedis, and you put Sarkhan and Nahiri. It's Boros Super Friends equipment.
Yeah, sure.
That's a thing you could do. So Nahiri, solidly number 13. Who do we have next?
So at number 12, we have another monocolored commander, and this is Duretti Scrap Savant. So for 4 mana, for 3 and a red, you get a Planeswalker that comes in at 3 loyalty. It has 3 activatable abilities of +2 to discard up to 2 cards, then draw that many cards. A -2 to sacrifice an artifact, and if you do, return target artifact card from your graveyard to the battlefield, and a -10 that says you get an emblem with whenever an artifact is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, return that card to the battlefield at the beginning of the next end step. So right then and there, you look at that, and it's an Artifacts Matters commander. The +2 is all about looting away your artifacts so that you can cheat them out or better with your -2 ability after that. And the -10, I mean, if you get that, you should be winning the game.
I've gotten it once. So I ran actually in here. I also ran Duretti. So I feel like I've run a couple of these. I think I'm very much on the side of I want Planeswalkers as commanders. So I wanted to try them out. This is a deck that it felt very the game plan was the same each time.
Yeah,
throw
definitely
the biggest artifact that I possiably could into my graveyard, Spine of Ishsa, Mycosynth Lattice, whatever it was. Throw it in the graveyard, play out a Mycosynth Wellspring or something that gives me value when it comes in and when it leaves, sacrifice it to bring it back. It's a great strategy.
For sure.
I think it works really well. I personally didn't have fun playing with it, and I don't always have fun playing against it. I always find things like Meteor Golem and Felden of the Third Path that end up being in types of decks like this. And it really slows games down.
Right.
I personally didn't play it as stacks. I've never seen it played as stacks. It could be played as stacks.
Yeah, I mean, this was this was printed in the same set as Nahiri, so it's an 8-year-old commander here. So 8 years ago, Duretti might have been the best stacks CEDH commander because it was easy to cheat those smokestacks out or something like that. But I like the way it's costed. 4 mana is very, very good for what it does. But as you said, it's a good thing trains are artifacts because your strategy is very railroaded here.
Yeah, and the other thing and I did it so I could say I've done it.
Sure.
And then I didn't ever do it again, which was Karn the Great Creator and Mycosynth Lattice.
Yes.
It absolutely shows up in a deck like this. Mycosynth Lattice just works really well in this Duretti deck without even doing the nasty things and overloading and destroying everybody else's equipment with there's an overload to destroy everybody's equipment, but there's a Karn lock here. So it says activated abilities of artifacts your opponent's control can't be activated. If you play in Mycosynth Lattice, it turns everything into an artifact. So they can't tap their lands.
Vandal Blast.
Thank you. If someone overloads a Vandal Blast, so you can either destroy a target equipment or destroy all equipment. Artifacts, correct. Destroy an artifact you don't own, or destroy all artifacts with the overload. It's at that point everybody just scoops, which is fine.
Sure. Yeah,
it's fine. Please end this game.
Yeah,
please.
And then you get to
do it again, maybe.
Yeah. Well, hopefully the person doesn't sit there and says, "I want a +2. I want a +2. I want a +2. I'm going to make you Plaques. I want a +2."
It does have a lot of really cool things, but honestly, the one thing that it does have going for it though is the deck can do what it's supposed to do with kind of just Duretti sitting out. If you don't deal with the Duretti, the deck is going to.
Yeah, it's going to do its thing. And we wanted to talk about uniqueness here too. And I think it is a very unique Planeswalker and it's a very unique commander Planeswalker. But I think the strategy that it's doing is not unique at all. I think there's a lot of commanders out there. They're creature commanders, but there's a lot of commanders out there that care about artifacts, care about graveyards. And yeah, it's not that unique of a strategy anymore.
Yeah, the reanimate player is saying it's not that unique anymore.
Hey, I sometimes I railroad myself into these strategies, but it has to be something that you enjoy. And if you enjoy playing with your graveyard and playing with artifacts, Duretti very well could be for you.
Absolutely. So number 11 here is Obnixilis of the Black Oath. So this is a mono black planeswalker, again from the Commander 14 set. It has 3 loyalty, costs 3 black, and has 3 abilities. +2, each opponent loses 1 life. You gain life equal to the life lost this way. So they would lose 1, you would gain 3 if you're in a 4-player pod. -2, you get a 5/5 black demon creature with flying, and then you lose 2 life. And then -8 gives you an emblem that says pay 1 and a black, sack a creature, you gain X life and draw X cards, where X is the sacrificed creature's power. This is the one commander that neither of us have played with or against from this entire list.
True.
It is the only one. The Planeswalkers, fine. I think what it does, what it says is all things that could, I guess, potentially be relevant. I'm not a fan of the +2. Your opponent losing 1 and you gaining 3 isn't. That means nothing to me. It's
not great.
That means nothing. The -2 for making a 5/5 demon, I don't know if I do either, because looking at this again, you have 5 turns, right? If it comes in at 3, the first turn is 5, then 7, then 9, and then you -8. So it takes 4 turns if it's not touched at all from the turn it comes out for you to be able to get this emblem, which requires creatures to be on the battlefield for you to take advantage of the emblem. So if you're playing this, let's say the earliest you're getting this is turn 3, right? You get a Soul Ring, and a land, and then you play a land on turn 2 and I don't know, a rock or something else. Let's say turn 3 you get this. That means turn 4, 5, 6, turn 7 you're going to ultimate it. And we're finding on our stream that games are ending between turns 6 and 9 now. We are seeing.
Yes.
So the game might be over before you even get to ultimate this Ob Nixilis. And these truly are some casual games. We've certainly seen an infinite go off from a casual deck and the game ends a little quicker than anticipated. This Ob Nixilis is, I think, probably on the slower end.
For sure.
Unless you're boosting it up with a lot of just mono black generic goodness.
Yeah. And
which is totally relevant.
Yeah, maybe that's what you're doing. I know we had a conversation on the way over here because we talked about how good is this -2 to make a 5/5 flyer. And sure, it's a good blocker for your own Planeswalker and stuff. And I thought, maybe you're playing Demon Tribal and you have a Liliana's Contract in there or something, which is a 5-mana enchantment. So it's at the same casting cost as Ob Nixilis, but it's going to be your win condition, so you can cast it later on. So maybe that doesn't matter to you. But Liliana's Contract is an enchantment. Says when it enters the battlefield, you draw 4 cards and you lose 4 life. But at the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 4 or more demons with different names, you win the game. So making 4 of the tokens isn't going to win you the game, but making 1 token and having 3 other demons on the battlefield could win you the game. That wasn't in the pre-con for the 2014, and I'm positive
it didn't exist. I don't believe Liliana's Contract even existed at that point.
No, Core Set 2019 was when it printed, so it definitely didn't exist. 5 years until it gets printed. But these were created in a vacuum for sure. These Planeswalkers to play against each other in the 2014 set. And obviously that +2 so that you end up gaining 3 life is only there to offset the 2 life that you lost for creating the 5/5 demon. It's not great, but maybe there's some sort of proliferate strategy or something that people are playing. Maybe in mono black, you're focusing on infect or something like that. And then you can play into that proliferate. So you're doing 2 birds, 1 stone type of deal in it. But it seems like it would be fun, but definitely very casual.
Yeah, as far as uniqueness goes, it doesn't feel that unique. I think it's the only commander that gives you kind of this type of an alt. But there's another black commander that we're going to talk about on this list that also draws cards better than this mono black commander, and also makes creatures better than this commander.
And has much better ultimate as well.
Yeah. And potential, deck strategy options.
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah, that's why Ob Nixilis is listed here at number 11.
That's right. Now at number 10, we have another Planeswalker that Andy has built a commander deck before.
Oh my gosh.
But this is our first venture. If you thought we were going to talk about the last commander from Commander 2014, you were incorrect. Next up,
there's 2 more.
Oh, there's 2 more. Okay, yeah. Next up, we have Estrid the Masked. So this is our first Bant commander, 3 colors. So for 1 green, white, and a blue, you get a 3 loyalty commander that has 3 abilities, +2 to untap each enchanted permanent you control, -1 to create a white aura enchantment token named Mask and attach it to another target permanent. The token has enchant permanent and totem armor, and then a -7 to put the top 7 cards of your library into your graveyard. Return all non-aura enchantment cards from your graveyard to the battlefield, then do the same for aura cards. So this is an Enchantment Matters Bant commander that's putting totem armor on your permanents that you don't want to get destroyed, and then also allows you to put totem armor on something so that you can untap them at a later time.
Yeah, it's a great commander in fantastic colors. I'll be honest, green, white, blues, great. You've got ramp, you've got removal, you've got counter magic. I think Estrid was super well designed. I do think, though, that it's not a fun commander to in my opinion, to play with or against.
Sure.
It definitely lends itself to a pillow fort strategy where
Definitely.
they're going to just play out as many enchantments and enchantress cards as they can. So things that let you draw a card when they play an enchantment, Argothian Enchantress, and the like. The turns are really long because there's a lot of things for the Estrid player to remember.
For sure.
And it really will end up locking the game down before anything can really continue. Everybody has to kind of hard focus on the Estrid player to remove things that are causing issues. They have lots of mana.
Right.
There is infinites with Estrid
There's definitely
as well.
And even if you start removing the enchantments and stuff, if Estrid gets to 7, they're coming right back from the graveyard anyways.
They're coming back. And as part of this discussion today, we are specifically not talking about certain cards like Chain Veil, Doubling Season, Deep Glow Skate.
Sure.
Obviously, commanders that are in green and blue can take advantage of the one, and then every single one of these commanders can take advantage of Chain Veil.
Correct.
So we kind of kept them out of the conversation, but it's certainly important to remember that a few of the commanders on this list can go infinite with cards like Chain Veil. So this is one of them, but it's a really unique commander. Gotta say,
it's extremely unique.
So unique.
Yeah, no other Planeswalkers cares about enchantments like this, especially creating enchantment tokens and stuff. We finally have a new enchantment token with Goshen Tai making shrines, but that's the only other instance I can think about of doing enchantment tokens. So,
and the only other Planeswalker I think that cares about enchantments is Calyx, Destiny's Hand, but it can't be your commander anyway.
And it's not in blue.
It's not, but it's in green white, so it fits really well into Estrid. I would say though, for competitiveness, this one is really strong and one you super have to watch out for.
For sure.
And you're just going to have to make sure you move the right pieces, because if they make it so that they can't swing at you with ghostly prisons and propagandas and or swing at them with all these things, you're going to have a tough time.
Yeah, especially since there's like 2 other pieces of Pillow Fort that make it so that you can't attack Planeswalkers too.
This is true. So Estrid landed solidly at number 10 for that reason. But the next one is a commander that is fairly new. Not anymore. I want to say it's fairly new, but this Commander Legends is just not new anymore. So coming in at number 9, we have Tevajat Duma Fools. So this is a mono black commander, but it does have partner. Ooh. So it can both be your commander and his partner. So it can be paired up with anything else that has partners. So it's a mono black commander. It's making its way up on this list a little higher than some others, because I guess you could pair it to make it any combination of 3 colors that includes black. So that's pretty cool. Tevajat has 4 loyalty, 5 mana, 4 and a black, with 3 abilities. +2 to make 2 0/1 black thrall creature tokens. +1, you can sack another creature or planeswalker to draw 2 cards, then draw another card if that sacrifice permanent was your commander or a commander. And then -10, you gain control of all commanders, put all commanders from the command zone onto the battlefield under your control.
Yeah.
So
so this had the same cost as Ob Nixilis, 1 less black pip, actually. So easier to cast than Ob Nixilis.
More loyalty.
Has a +2 that creates 2 blockers. And then it's not a -2 or anything on here, just a +1 to start drawing cards and probably building around the sacrifice outlet as part of Tevajat anyways. Yeah, and like you said, comes in with an additional loyalty counter on that, and then has a way better, I mean, it's not an emblem here, but a way better ultimate at -10 to gain control of all commanders. Although, and I think we both share this, we have not experienced that before.
We haven't. And if we have, it didn't phase us in the slightest, because we don't even remember it at this point. So either the game was over and we all said, sweet, you did the thing, or it didn't happen. And I'm pretty sure it was just that it didn't happen yet.
Right. Because even if someone stole my commander, sacrificed it to Tevajat to draw 2 cards, and I got it back, I would have remembered that for sure.
I feel like I really would have remembered it. So this, though, is a commander that I think is super fun to play against.
Oh yeah.
It's a commander that just makes a bunch of tokens. If you wanted to play it as Jund with Tana the Bloodsower, so you've got green and red, that's really cool. If you want to play it with another commander that will be on this list, Jeska, to make it black red, and you've got another planeswalker, that's really cool. Pairing it with blue and black is really neat. So you can go with the Esper color. So or I'm sorry, white and blue. So you can go with Esper colors. So there's a lot you can do with this. I think it's really fun to play against. And I have not personally thought that Tevajat was oppressive. It's more of the this is more of the value engine
for sure
of the two commanders you're probably going to have in the command zone.
This is the one that probably does have to be taken out earlier in the game. Like later in the game, it's probably not closing games out for you. So maybe it's the other partner that's closing the games out. But early game, this is such high advantage that you have to get rid of this as quickly as possible. But it is very unique that it has partner. Other than that, it is doing kind of generic things though. So, but it's super
all things
good.
that we want to see though in Commander. Sure. I would like to make multiple creature tokens, like to draw multiple cards, and steal multiple creatures.
Oh, steal your commanders. Yeah. Please and thank you.
I actually really, really like Teverzat. I just haven't played it. It's not, I've not been super into building a ton of partners, so it's not one that I snagged.
I thought about it as people have him paired up with like Sidar Kondo and do like an Abzan tokens type of deal. And I have an Abzan tokens deck, and I thought about switching out my mono black partner for Teverzat. And I don't know why I haven't tried it. I might as well.
You have Felthus, right? The cat?
No, Nadir.
Oh, Nadir.
Yeah, the elf that makes elf tokens when it leaves the battlefield. Yeah. So it's, whether or not you need more card draw or need more token generation, or if you're really big into the aristocrat strategy. I mean, they all are feeding into the same strategy. So but this one's a Planeswalker, so it gets extra flavor points that way.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that is our number 9. So moving on to number 8, we have our other Planeswalker that has partner. This one I really, really like this commander a lot. And this is Jeska Thrice Reborn. So for 2 and a red, you get a Planeswalker that actually has 0 loyalty, but Jeska Thrice Reborn enters the battlefield with a loyalty counter on it for each time you've cast a commander from the command zone this game. You can activate her for 0 to have to choose target creature, and until your next turn, if that creature would deal combat damage to one of your opponents, it deals triple that damage to that player instead, and minus X, where Jeska Thrice Reborn deals X damage to each of up to 3 targets. And again, this commander has partner, so you can do red plus 2 other colors, or you can stick in mono red, because honestly that triple, so in a casual format, that triple damage is going to be so strong, because it's caring about combat. You don't necessarily even have to target your own creatures. You can target some of your opponent's creatures and do some political action stuff going on. If you just so happen to have Dargo, another mono red partner commander from Commander Legends that happens to have 7 power, if that is your other partner and you want to triple the amount of damage that Dargo does when it swings in, you can insta-gib someone for 21 commander damage. But I personally really like Jeska combined with Falthus the Shadow Cat. That gives commanders you control menace and death touch, because that actually makes Jeska's minus X ability have death touch and be able to kill 3 creatures at a time just by doing 1/1/1. I know I've built this also with Rogrock, because it's nice to be able to cast Rogrock, then Jeska, and Jeska comes in with 2 loyalty counters rather than 1 right away. But it's really the partner mechanic that's making Jeska so unique, so broad, and being able to do so many different things.
Yeah, this is one that I think my experience playing against a Jeska so far has been paired up with the commander that gives death touch to your commander. Falthus,
Mm-hmm.
So this one, blowing up creatures, has really been my experience with Jeska. But you also had this as a CEDH deck, so I've seen that with Rograck.
Mm-hmm. It was with Rograck,
and that was also very cool. This is a very fun commander.
It's very fun,
honestly.
And if you do build it like to the competitive state, if you're able to have an infinite amount of red mana, you can cast Jeska from your command zone, minus X, remove all loyalty from it, do 1 damage to each opponent, and then just cast, just recast it over and over and over again. So an infinite combo without having to use some of the cards we referred to before, like Doubling Season and Deep Glow Skate and Chain Veil, although you could definitely play that as partner and get those color combinations into your deck.
Right. So moving to number 7, we've got Aminatou the Fate Shifter. So this is from the Commander 18 precons. So this is a 3 loyalty commander that costs white, blue, and black. So just 3 mana.
Yeah.
And Aminatou has 3 abilities. +1, draw a card, then put a card from your hand on top of your library. -1, exile another target permanent you own, then return it to the battlefield under your control. And then -6, choose left or right. Each player gains control of all non-land permanents other than Aminatou controlled by the player next in that chosen direction.
Nice.
This commander is in the Esper colors, or whatever the new Capenna name of this is, and I don't know what it is.
No clue.
It's gonna be the Esper colors. I'm gonna have a really hard time with that, I think.
Yeah.
I think this is an extremely cool commander.
Definitely.
I think that the whole point of this precon was top deck manipulation, because it had other commanders that could cast odd spells and stuff. So you wanted to draw a card and put an odd card or whatever you wanted to drop miracle cast cards on top of your library. So I think that's really cool. I don't know if I would put this one on the fun scale though. Like, I'm not sure where I would put it because it's very cool to see go off. It's very unique. It's not something that we see often happening.
Right.
But it is very tricksy.
Yeah.
And it's going to get you with the strategies that it goes for. There's a lot of blink. There's a lot of board wipes. There's a lot of these types of deals happening in these decks, and everything that gets played has like incremental value on it.
Yes.
You know, Cloud Chasers, all these things where they come in, you're going to gain life, you're going to draw cards, you're going to do whatever it is, and then blink it with Amanatu. And then I've never seen this trade though. This whole -6 of shift everything to the left or the right. I've not seen that ever happen though,
okay. So
personally.
I have, and in one of the worst ways that you could possibly see it happen like that. Because it was this particular deck was played as Esper control with a little bit of exchange your permanents with other people's permanents, because the -1 ability says you target a permanent you own, not one you control. So you can exchange permanents with someone and then flicker it back to your battlefield, and then you just basically permanently just took something of theirs.
Okay.
But when they ultimated, with the ultimate on the stack, Teferi's protection out so that the person to their left got nothing. And because they were phased out of the game. And then when it came back to their turn, they had their board state plus the board state of the person to the right of them. I mean, fantastic Esper control.
That's a cool play.
It's cool.
I will say, being able to say you've done it.
Requiring someone to cast Teferi's protection on their own turn, that might even be a win in your book, as long as you're not the person to the left of the Aminatou player.
Yeah, or the right. I guess whichever way they chose.
Hopefully
you ended up on the favorable side of the Aminatou player. I do think that it's pretty different from most of the commanders on this list.
Definitely.
It's in some pretty strong color combinations here. It will take games. It's good for hard control. Aminatou is a solid commander.
Yeah, solid at our number 7 spot. In the number 6 spot, we are back to a monocolor commander. We have a member of the Gatewatch, Teferi, Temporal Archmage. For 6 mana, 4 blue, you get a 5 loyalty commander that has 3 activatable abilities of a +1 to look at the top 2 cards of your library, put one of them into your hand and the other on the bottom of your library, a -1 to untap up to 4 target permanents, and a -10 where you get an emblem that says you may activate loyalty abilities of planeswalkers you control on any player's turn, and anytime you could cast an instant. I know we have this brand new Teferi from Core Set 21 that also was able to activate on your opponent's turns, which everyone thought was pretty cool. You do have to get the emblem on Teferi in order to do so. But this Teferi isn't looking to play any particular type of strategy. I mean, it's doing mono blue stuff where you get to draw cards by filtering them from the top of your library, picking the best one of 2. You get to untap your stuff to have more mana. You might even have only tapped 4 permanents to cast Teferi anyways. You get all your mana back just by a simple -1. But other than that, you're playing mono blue stuff, mono blue control.
Infinite turns.
Yeah, well, you could do that too, I suppose.
Yeah, most of them are playing a Chain Veil, and the deck is very uniquely named Teferi Chain Veil.
It's a unique name.
It is a unique name.
What does it even do? You don't even know what it does with that title.
I don't know what it does.
Yeah, it's Chain Veil and Teferi.
It wants to play those 2 cards,
and that's it, I guess.
That's it, I guess. you play them down. It's like Exodia. You just play them and you just win.
I win.
No, it's a very strong deck. It is definitely not for a casual table. If I see a Teferi across from me, I'm gonna be leery.
Sure.
What?
It's just a precon.
If you're playing the precon, then sure.
I mean, I really want to see someone still have that precon sleeved up to play.
The actual precon sleeved up would be fine.
Yeah.
Like we were not around playing. Well, we weren't playing Commander.
I wasn't playing at all.
You weren't playing yet, but I wasn't playing Commander yet when C14 came out.
That's right.
I started playing Commander during the Battle for Zendikar block after like Ob Nixilis and all those things came out. So, or not Ob Nixilis, Omnath, the second one.
Okay.
And so this was I kind of just skated past this, but these were still in stores at like LGSs. So like I saw them, I just didn't really buy them.
Right.
Now I don't know if anyone would play that pre-con. I'm not sure it synergized very well. I think it was more of a value engine for that pre-con.
For sure.
I honestly can't speak to that very well, but when it's built with the Teferi meant to be the commander, it's going to be on a level where I need to make sure I'm playing a high powered deck.
For sure.
I mean,
I know we accidentally played against it in what we thought was going to be a pretty casual game, but fortunately you were able to take care of it with your Noyandar deck. You sat across from a Chainveil Teferi.
Oh yes. At Command Chicago, there was a Teferi Chainveil deck, and I was able to wheel away their Chainveil.
Yes, after they tutored for it,
and that felt pretty good.
Can't get any better than that.
It felt pretty good. So that was number 6, but coming in at number 5 and 4, we're gonna put these ones together.
Why would we do that?
It's because they're siblings, Rowan Kenrith and Will Kenrith. Okay. So these are planeswalkers that can be commanders, but also have partners with Will or Rowan respectively. So Rowan Kenrith is a planeswalker for 4 red, 4 loyalty, with 3 abilities. +2, during target player's next turn, each creature that player controls attacks if able. -2, Rowan deals 3 damage to each tap creature the target player controls. Then -8, you get an emblem with whenever you activate an ability that is not a mana ability, you can copy it and choose new targets for the copy. And then Will, we're assuming that they're partnered here.
Yeah.
These are your commanders. 4 blue, 4 loyalty, 3 abilities. +2 until your next turn. Up to 2 target creatures have base power and toughness 0/3 and lose all abilities. -2, target player draws 2 cards until your next turn. Instant, sorcery, and planeswalker spells that player casts cost 2 less to cast. And then -8, target player gets an emblem with whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, you copy it. You may choose new targets for the copy. So seems like they work really, really well together.
Yeah, it does.
You know, like you want to play out the Will and then draw cards and then make Rowan cost less and then play out Rowan, and then they start working really well together. I think these commanders were super fun, really well designed. I think seeing the lore behind them is also pretty cool that they share a spark.
Yeah.
So in blue and red colors, we wanted to talk about them together here. I think these are super fun to play against. I've never played these myself, but I've personally only ever seen it as a Super Friends deck. So it's playing blue, red, Super Friends. But you know, you have to just take that with a grain of salt when you're playing against a Super Friends deck. Either it can go really long or it can be really fast because you don't have a way to deal with them.
Right.
I've seen a lot of Will and Rowan decks just play extra turns to go with the Super Friends.
Makes
once
sense.
they can ultimate 1 or 2 of some of the planeswalkers that we have, they do very cool things.
Yep.
You know, if you add a Dak Fade and you could steal some things, you know. But Rowan's got a pseudo board wipe on it with -3 to deal 3 or minus to deal 3 damage to each creature target player has that's tapped.
Yeah.
After tapping all of them. Yeah, I think they're super unique. I really like playing with these planeswalkers. They feel like these are the OG planeswalker partners.
They really are.
Well,
I guess, they weren't, they're partners. Yes.
Correct.
Planeswalker partners.
Correct.
Yes. I really liked the partners with mechanic that they came out in Battle Bond. It was very exciting to see them in planeswalkers. I know I've shoved Will Kenrith into a bunch of like Spellslinger decks and stuff because it's nice to have have instants and sorceries cost 2 less to cast, along with planeswalkers as well. But yeah, I think the only way we've seen it is planeswalkers because the only kind of cross between the 2 planeswalkers is planeswalkers, which I know I said planeswalkers like 8 times in that sentence. But
Will can make them cost less.
Yes.
The other planeswalkers you have in your deck.
Yes. And then Rowan can, protect. The -8 to get the emblem from Rowan does make it so that your loyalty abilities activate twice.
Correct.
So that's really cool. Very unique in the fact that it's the only planeswalker commanders with partner with so far. Maybe we'll get more. Who knows? We know that these got reprinted in Strixhaven, so we got a little bit more of their lore. From my understanding, in Battle Bond, they're actually like more adult than they are in the Strixhaven story. So Battle Bond happens a little bit in the future. So from a story-wise, lore-wise, I think that's pretty cool too.
Oh, just seeing more Will and Rowan, you mean? Because they didn't reprint these.
They did not reprint these. They had the flip planeswalker that had Rowan on one
Scholar
side
of
and Will on the
Sparks
other.
and whatever. And then we also got to see the Royal Scions in Throne of Eldraine.
Yes, that's right.
This is our third iteration iteration
Wow.
of Will and Rowan.
Nice. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, so I think they're really cool. They're super unique, seeing as they've got partners with each other. They definitely fall on the higher end of the spectrum with combo potential.
Yes.
You know, I mean, if you look at it, this can play a deep flow skate, so you can ultimate them both right away and go to town. So really cool stuff.
Yes. Now at number 3, we have our last Commander 2014 Commander. And if you were checking off on your bingo sheet, you would know that is Fraley, Llanowar's Fury. We have another 5-mana Planeswalker Commander here. So for 3 green, you get 3 loyalty with 3 activatable abilities, a +2 to create a 1/1 green elf druid creature token with tap to add a green, -2 to destroy target artifact or enchantment, and -6 to draw a card for each green creature you control. So it's an elf tribal deck, most likely.
Elves doing elf things.
Yeah,
I think this is such a good commander.
It's amazing.
I really like this Planeswalker a lot.
Yeah, I mean the +2, it protects itself, and then even if you don't want to chump block with your 1/1, it's going to be mana to help you recast your commander.
You're making
later.
a Llanowar elf. I mean, you're making a green elf druid, but you're making a Llanowar elf.
Potentially even better than a Llanowar because it's got that druid creature type too.
It's great. The -2 to destroy an artifact or an enchantment. I always want this.
Yes.
Somewhere. But this is on my Planeswalker now. I don't have to add an extra card. I mean, I can still add the extra card, but it's also on my Planeswalker. So I've got redundancy. I can make elves, I can draw cards, and I can also remove your Smothering Tithe or your Lightning Greaves or Swiftfoot Boots with my commander. Yeah,
and you might feel like -6ing to draw a card for each green creature you control. Maybe you only have 4 green creatures or something. Like, is it worth it? Yeah, you can recast your commander. So
you can recast the commander with the elves that tap for mana now. So you're kind of negating that commander tax, which feels pretty good. It's a lot of setup. I mean, but you're in mono green, so assuming that you are already running other elf dorks, and there's quite a few of them, you can probably run Fraley's out on turn 3, start making elves, and then start just getting value and just overrunning. Just a generic overrun works really well.
Even a specific overrun, the sorcery works really well. The specific
overrun works really well. I think the uniqueness for this is the Walker, it not only cares about elves, but as a commander, this does do a lot of work just on its own.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. And competitiveness, elf decks are scary.
Yeah, they are. I mean, they're so fat. I mean, we talked about elf decks that are running green and black, elf decks that are running green and white, but just an elf deck that has a non-creature that can make you elf creatures. So it dodges creature board wipes and can just start resetting your board immediately afterward. What's there not to love? And a lot of these planeswalkers that we talked about that do have removal potential are strictly creature removal. So to have artifact and enchantment removal on your planeswalker is, I think, way bigger than anyone actually can fathom.
Right.
No fathoming.
No fathoming. Number 2, we're going to bring this home soon. Yes. Saheeli the Gifted. So this is a blue and red planeswalker. This is again from the Commander 18 set. Saheeli the Gifted has 4 loyalty, 2, a blue and a red, and 3 abilities. +1, create a 1/1 colorless servo artifact creature token. +1, a second +1. The next spell you cast this turn costs 1 generic less for each artifact you control as you cast it. And then -7 for each artifact you control. Create a token that's a copy of it. These tokens gain haste. Exile those tokens at the beginning of the next end step. So this is a commander that I think it was super popular right off the bat, but we're just getting so many commanders. A lot of them are, playing for a bit. And I think we're also guilty of this, play them for a bit.
Sure.
And then we take them apart, try something new, and only like the things that like really tugged at the heartstrings are still together.
Right.
So I think a lot of Saheeli the Gifted got taken apart. I have not seen one of these. I would have to go back and look at Commander 2021 tracking because I don't even know if I saw this in 2021.
I don't think I've ever played a game other than maybe if we played the pre-cons right out of the box. That would be the only time I've ever played against Saheeli. After that, the first time I even heard Saheeli get re-mentioned was, I know it got banned in Oathbreaker, which is, if you're not familiar, it's like it's similar to Commander, but you have a Planeswalker as your commander. This one obviously could be your commander, even in Commander.
And then there's like a signature spell,
and you get a signature spell.
So
you have like an instant or a sorcery in your command zone. As
wild.
Well.
I did not know this was banned in Oathbreaker.
Yeah,
so that's cool.
So it's probably because something to reduce the mana cost of your next artifact or something. Well,
maybe some
either way.
improvised spell that your artifacts tap. Who knows?
And this Planeswalker was printed a lot more recently than the ones that were 8 years old that we talked about before, but still wasn't printed amongst all the treasure synergy that we have now. So I can only imagine that this deck got even stronger and stronger and stronger with all of these extra tokens that we have.
I think Brutaclad came in this deck.
Oh, Brutaclad probably did come in this deck.
I think I still see Brutaclad. I'm not seeing the Saheeli though.
Right.
So I think they came in the same deck together.
That must be it then. But yeah, to have a +1 to protect yourself, a +1 to also reduce the cost of your next spell, a -7 that could definitely just end the game on the spot if you have the right artifacts that are out there. And if not, they'll double your mana or double your whatever the heck you got going on with this Saheeli. It's really artifact value town in 2 colors.
Yeah, it's definitely different than the Will and the Rowan that we saw that were already on this list. It's different than Teferi. It's different than Duretti, only in that it's not really reanimating. You could reanimate. Duretti would work in this deck too. So it's really unique compared to other specifically red-blue commanders that care, or I guess planeswalkers that care about artifacts. But unfortunately, there's really only 4 because there's 3 versions of Saheeli. They all care about artifacts. And there's Dak Faden, who's also cares about artifacts. So
I know some people talk about Ral Zarek sometimes as an artifact because he can untap permanents, but that's a permanent, not specifically an artifact. But people talk about, well, it was Chain Veil, a little permanent called Chain Veil.
Yeah, no, you can certainly do some work here. I just think this one's super fun. I don't think I'm ever disappointed when I did play against it. And if I saw it come up, I'd be excited. I know I'm going to see a bunch of artifacts and I'm sure a ton of treasures now. Dockside Extortionist exists. Oof. There's so many things now that weren't out with
Academy Manufactor.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Let's make the deck. Let's make a Saheeli deck.
All right, we're going to make a Saheeli deck. We'll have it on stream at some point.
That's right. But now we are going to round out with our number 1 commander Planeswalker that can be your commander, a 3-color cat named Lord Windgrace. So for 2, a black, a red, and a green, so we're in the Jund colors, you get a 5 loyalty Planeswalker that has 3 activatable abilities of a +2 to discard a card, then draw a card. If a land card is discarded this way, you draw an additional card. A -3 to return up to 2 target land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield, and a -11 to destroy up to 6 target non-land permanents, then create 6 2/2 green cat warrior creature tokens with Forest Walk. So this one, I'll be right off the bat, I'm not very impressed with the -11. I mean, you do get to destroy 6 permanents, but it takes a long time to finally get there. Obviously, there's some ways that you can get there a little bit faster, but this really cares about landfall triggers. This is going to be your Planeswalker. Landfall matters. Discard lands from your hand into your graveyard so that you can draw extra cards to get even more lands matters. You're probably playing all of the lands matters legendary creatures that could be your commanders in the 2 and 3 colors that make up Jund in the 99. So you're getting all the value from it as is. You're protecting it. It doesn't protect itself, but all of the other cards in your deck are probably meant to protect it. And Andy, this is also a deck that you have built in the past.
I did build this deck. The only reason it really came apart was because I had an extra landfall deck already. So I was already doing kind of the same thing. And I said, you know what, I'm going to stick to the 2 colors because apparently 2 colors is my thing.
Sure.
So it's a deck that I don't mind seeing come out. I just know that you have to think about the lands that they're probably playing in their deck. So things like, Urborg and Cabal Coffers, they're going to have large mana potentially. They have maybe a Valakut, right? So if they're going to Scape Shift into a Valakut, because you've got Scape Shift in green, so you can sacrifice as many lands as you want and go get that many lands onto the battlefield tap. They might have a Valakut. They might be running a card like a Glacial Chasm so that they can't attack but also can't take any damage. And then they sack it at their upkeep for the cumulative upkeep and continue to bring it back. So there's lots of loops. And so Lord Windgrace is a generically strong commander. It's probably my favorite of the Jund commanders.
Sure.
As we've mentioned this a few times in the past. I think it's a really strong deck that some decks just can't win against. I remember when I had this, I did run out of Glacial Chasm and you were running a creature win con only deck with no alt win con. And you said, I'm done. I cannot. You're like, I'm going to look through my deck real quick. I just want to see if I have an answer. And if I do, let's continue. If I don't, let's just scoop it up. And you said, I don't have any land destruction,
Right.
and I cannot respond to you at instant speed, sacking and bringing that back.
Mm-hmm.
So it's something you do have to remember. It does have kind of some hard locks.
Yeah, it's tough. And I know I think both of our play strategies, probably with your Lord Windgrace and any of my mono black decks, taught our play group, you need land destruction, you need graveyard hate. You need both of them.
I run graveyard hate and targeted land destruction. I'm not upset about. I understand it. I get it.
We've gotten so many good targeted land spells too, even recently, like Generous Gift. I really, really am happy that they reprint. Like there was Beast Within before, there was Chaos Warp, but now we finally have it in white too, Generous Gift to destroy target permanent. So you're still going to have to exile their graveyard afterwards somehow, because Lord Windgrace will be able to bring back that Glacial Chasm, but at least there's more answers to it now. Lord Windgrace probably isn't in that feel bad category anymore.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, so I think this is a fun commander to play against, one that I don't see very much. Everyone wants to play their Omnath for their landfall decks and all that kind of stuff.
I think that's because you play with me.
Maybe
if we play more, once we play more with the LGS after your robotics competitions are over,
yes.
you'll be able to see some more of these Lord Windgrace decks. But I certainly think that it warrants taking the top spot here.
For sure.
So we want to hear from you listeners this week, what you think about this list and where you would put these commanders from top to bottom. And we're really excited to see what commanders we're going to be getting in Commander Legends this year.
Yes.
Battle for Baldur's Gate, because I might just have to build them all, because I feel like I've built quite a few of these.
Yeah.
So we're gonna build a bunch more. Now we do have an announcement. We have producer Ryan with us this week. We are recording in the studio for the very last time here.
No. But it's also a happy moment, right, Ryan?
It's a really happy moment.
So Ryan is going to be moving. So you are leaving town. So we are no longer going to be recording in the studio. It will be remote going forward.
Nice.
And Ryan, tell everybody where you're headed, and then we'd love to hear your thoughts. You've been dealing with us for 3 years now.
It's been a long
almost
time.
3 years.
Every Monday for 3 years now.
I know. Can you believe that?
Are we the best part of your Monday, at least?
It's the best part of my Monday for sure.
Okay,
yes.
cool. There's not a very high bar there, but at least we're the best.
Yeah, for sure. I'm sorry. I'm also like looking at the waveform to be like, is my voice picking up high enough? It doesn't look like. Yeah, we're fine. Yeah, I've loved doing this with you guys. One, I like cornered Andy's husband to like make a podcast. So just getting to do this is, amazing, because I've always, I've wanted to make a podcast the whole time, and then, Andy took me up on it. So he saw his shot and he took it. I'm happy.
Shoot your shot.
I did it. I know. I can't. And we're here 3 years later. We had no idea how long the show would go for, and we're not done. This isn't us saying we're not recording anymore.
No.
This is not a goodbye to everybody.
The Guardian Project continues.
No, we're going to be recording remotely from now on. So Ryan will not be in town, but will not be disappearing. But we are going to be working on learning how to edit our show in the coming months. So for all of our listeners here, we hope that you are very patient with us as we learn all of the ins and outs of editing and balancing.
Yes.
My very loud laughs, Coyle's much deeper voice than mine.
I'm sure it'll be fun.
And all of our transitions, because if we can't figure them out, we're just going to sing them for you.
Oh, yes.
We're just going to sing, and we'll do the clap. Because we always clap to that transition music. So
yeah. If you've ever been to an MJR movie theater, I would like you to clap with us while we clap on the show.
That's a very Southeast Michigan thing of you to say. Ryan, it has been wonderful recording here with you for the last 3 years. We made it through a pandemic.
Yeah. A whole pandemic.
Yeah, I can't believe it.
We made how much have you absorbed about Commander in your time? Like a ton? Like you're a master at it? You're basically a level 1 judge now?
I'm probably so patrons would see like the one of the games that I played, the 4 games of Magic that I have played in my life.
Yes.
So I lost that one, and there's another one that I'm in the process of editing.
Yes,
still.
yes.
But no, I mean, just learning a little bit about Magic has been really fun, and you guys have made me feel very like welcome and happy to
Good.
be part of this community in the small way that I am.
Good. I think it's in actually a really big way if you think about it. I mean, 146 episodes of involved. It's 146 hours going through other people's ears. You're a huge involvement here.
Thank you.
Well, that is it that we have for this week, everybody. If you would like to reach out to us on Twitter, you can find me on Twitter at Andy Flory.
And you can find me on Twitter at Wormcoil Engine. And of course, we want to give a very special thanks to Ryan Nichols, our producer and editor. Thank you so much for everything that you've done. And thank you for everything you do in the future. Good luck in your move. Hopefully your new location has also a ton of Magic the Gathering players for you to
produce podcasts.
Anyone's in Virginia, hit me up.
Yes, anyone in the Virginia area that needs a Magic podcast, our producer's available.
That's right.
Remotely.
We also want to give a thanks to Chris Wolf, who handles all of our graphic design. You can check out all of his images over on our YouTube channel for all of our Commander gameplay that we have on there. And to all of you listeners out there, we will talk to you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.